Welcome to London in spring 2022, and we're going around different venues to go and see the trees in blossom, to give you that lovely feeling of here's spring in the northern hemisphere, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, hello autumn. We start off our tour on St James's Park, right by Whitehall. Now what I wanted to do this year is to go to some of the places not necessarily recommended by a lot of the tourism places to go and see the spring blossom. So if you're going to come up to London, this gives you a great guide in which to do it and where to go. St James's Park is going to be one of our favourite royal parks in the centre of London because it just seems to have so much around it, and I've put a link to our previous video on St James's Park up in the top right hand corner. But the park was created for hunting by King Henry VIII. Here we're looking at the daffs just in front of Birdcage Walk, which was called that because, believe it or not, it was a menagerie at one point for the royals. In this video we're going to 8 different places across London. We'll tell you all about them when we get there, but what we really also want to do is just to bring that essence of spring coming through. What was really interesting to see is that whilst all this was filmed within a day or two of each other, that different places were in different stages of spring, such as these magnolia trees. And no, that's not an ornament, that is a heron here at St James's Park. St James's Park is famous because it has Whitehall on one side, which you've seen already, and at the other end you have Buckingham Palace. Both of these views which are filmed are from the middle of the lake, and there's a bridge that goes across called the Blue Bridge, and if you're coming to St James's Park, I can't recommend highly enough going for a walk across that because the views are incredible. As you can see, many people are out and about getting their bit of spring. Whilst there are quite a few people around in St James's Park, and when there's good weather it really does bring people out to have picnics, especially from Whitehall and the local buildings around, what was also quite noticeable was there was a lot of Japanese people around as well, really interested in the spring blossom. And that's because their observation of the spring blossom, also known as Hanami, brings out the Japanese to celebrate spring. And one of the trees we went to film, they were dressed in traditional Japanese clothing, but they didn't want us filming them. The weeping willow. There's got to be something about a weeping willow by water. It just makes you feel quite content and relaxed. So, if you've not been to St James's Park, do get yourself down here any time of the year because it's a beautiful place to come. Oh, and by the way, there's plenty of toilet facilities if you're bringing a young family, and also cafes to get coffees and light snacks. If you're coming to St James's Park, you've got to come up and have a great view across at Buckingham Palace, and on a sunny day it is absolutely beautiful. But we've also got a couple of secret places to show you right by Buckingham Palace, looking back at St James's Park for some spectacular views. Now this one is right down the lake and it takes you to the city, and this one is fantastic because it takes you through the lake, but also you can see the Blue Bridge and Horse Guards Parade at the other end. These are all in front of Buckingham Palace on the wall overlooking St James's. Let's go to a different venue in our search for spring, and here we're in Chelsea and we're going to show you around some of the different streets. Now one of the things I love doing when I'm touring around London is getting on one of the bikes that you can hire, and you can hire these from all over. They're commonly known the Boris bikes, and it was on this that I found all of these different places. I would like to apologise for the traffic that was out that day for my sudden stops, but it was well worth it to get these filmed to bring them to you from Chelsea. A lot of the places that I found the blossom in Chelsea were just off the King's Road, and they were down some side roads, so if you're heading down that way, just keep your eyes peeled, it is all over the place. The filming of all the blossom we've done has taken place on the 18th of March, which just goes to show you how early some of these trees do bloom here in London. And with the amazing blue skies, it's hardly any surprise it's all come out very early this year. We go from the grand houses and roads of Chelsea to the gardens of Kensington Gardens. Kensington Gardens adjoins Hyde Park, and here we're right underneath the statue of the Albert Memorial. And whilst there's not much blossom across the whole park, which is quite massive, which I was quite surprised about, the views from this one, well, we just got to bring them to you. So that's the Albert Memorial you can see there, and the golden statue of Prince Albert, and the Royal Albert Hall behind. Now, if you really want to go iconic landmarks and blossom, you've got to do St Paul's Cathedral. Now, this is the only place that we did cover last year as well as this year, so I'll put that on a card at the end of the video so you can click and see on there. But to come down to St Paul's to see the iconic dome and the flowers in front, well, it's an absolute must, and it's so easy to get to as well in the City of London. We're certainly getting around London in this video, and now we go to our 5th of our 8 venues. So you've got St Paul's overlooking the Thames, to Greenwich on the other side of the Thames and further down. Now, we have been to Greenwich Park before, and I'll put a link to that video in the top right hand corner. But when we came last time, it was for the views over and across London from the top of the hill, and we got some more amazing views from different parts. But I'll put a link to that video up in the top right hand corner. Now, whilst we're going to show you some different flowers in bloom, what was particularly interesting up here is that some of the cherry trees that were here had not gone into full bloom yet, and that's because Greenwich sits on the top of a hill and is more exposed than other parts of London, where we're bringing you some of the amazing blossom. In this part of the park, we're at the Blackheath end of Greenwich Park. Really hope you're enjoying our video, and if you are, don't forget to give us a thumbs up so we can get this video spread more on YouTube to help others love London as well. Here the daffs are all around the cricket pitch, but what's interesting is we've seen the magnolias open over in Chelsea, but here they're all closed tight. On the west side of the park you have this, the Rose Garden, and whilst the beds are very empty at the moment, and what was interesting is whilst we were there you can actually see some of them, the gardeners were in and they were starting to get ready, and there's also a map which actually shows you the different types of roses they have in later in the year. It could be that we have to do another trip down here in May or June to catch the roses. But as you sort of pan round, you can see this. Now this is the Ranger's house, and in front of the Ranger's house, yes, they are roses in full bloom already, which I couldn't believe. Here we're just going to show you some of the flowers and also some of the roses all round the Ranger's house, which is here at Greenwich Park. As you can see, it's a great place to come on its own. Now, if you're going to come from Greenwich and round by the Cutty Sark, beware, there is a steep hill to climb to get up here. So your best bet is probably to come through the Blackheath area if you don't want to tackle the hill. And when I'm talking hills, I'm talking about hills for London, because London's quite flat otherwise. So we go from the beautiful flowers here at Greenwich Park to this amazing view, and this is in the middle of the park, so it's away from the Royal Observatory that we've covered before, and being framed by these trees on either side, it gives a fantastic view across the London Docklands. We're now in the Fitzrovia area of London, which is the area underneath the Post Office Tower, which you can see from all over. So really that area is between Oxford Street and the Marylebone Road, Tottenham Court Road and also Regent Street, a big square of London. We have been to this area before with the Fitzrovia Golden Chapel, and I put a link to that video up in the top right hand corner. Fitzrovia is another one of those places off the beaten track where actually with their spring blossom no one says to go there and find it, but here it is, just sitting here on the streets to be found. It's always amazing what you discover in London when you're either walking or cycling in your own time and not rushing to get from one place to another. We now head from the west end of London into the east end and over at Stratford, and here is the spring blossom at the Olympic Village. This natural archway is just incredible. A couple of 100 metres away from the village is the Olympic Park. Now, just under 1 year ago, they created the London Blossom Garden, so we decided we had to go down here. Now, it missed the blossom for last year, hence we didn't cover it. But here at the Olympic Park, the Blossom Garden is a special walkway that's been created with 32 different trees. So you've got different blossom happening at different times during the year. The 32 different trees represent each of the 32 London boroughs and the City of London. Placed here as a gentle walkway and also as a remembrance garden and remembrance area for those who lost their lives in the pandemic, this is a lovely place to come. These are the 6 spring blossom trees that they had in the garden, with the others due to blossom at any time throughout the year. This is a great place to come. The whole Olympic complex over here in Stratford is quite often forgotten as one of those great places to come and bring kids to have a run around and also to take in the natural beauty and the wildlife. And I've put a link to a video that we did on here up in the top right hand corner. One thing that was great to see when visiting is the number of children that they bring out from the local schools to come and use the park to do nature trails and also treasure hunts. This is a great legacy to the 2012 London Olympics. The Blossom Park is easily accessible. It's all flat, although it is on a slight incline. And when you get to the bottom of the trail, you get these amazing views across the whole of the Olympic Park, taking in the Lee Valley River. And if ever a reminder was needed of why this park is here, here it is. We go from one park for the Olympics to another park back in the West End. This is Regents Park, and our final stop for the spring of 2022. Here we're in the southeastern corner of the massive Regents Park. So if you're coming here by train and you can see the blossom beautifully falling there, then Great Portland Street or Regents Park stations are your closest. Not only are we showing you this amazing spring blossom from here at Regents Park, but we're also going to do a part of the park called the Avenue, where they've got so many different plants in bloom. As I said earlier, Regents Park is massive, and I've put a video link to the video that we've done on Regents Park up in the top right hand corner, which covers a completely different section from here. So put the two together and you really do start to get a whole picture, with the exception of the zoo, because we haven't covered that. If you're a regular watcher of this channel and our videos, you'll know that I like a good water feature in a park. The good news is I found loads of them here at Regents Park, so we'll be covering some of those as well. There you go. Rest assured, normal service has resumed. The sound and the look of the water fountains just adds to the beauty of the gardens with all of these flowers planted. And what was interesting is when we were here filming, yes, you can see just there, you've got gardeners attending and they're actually planting the plants ready for the summer. I love the mix of flowers, but also with the palm trees in the middle here, just goes to show you how sheltered Regents Park really is. I noticed in all of the fountains there's a blue dye in the water to really make the water look a beautiful colour, but unfortunately it doesn't quite come out on camera. As you get here to the top of the avenue, you've got this lovely shelter, also by another water fountain. Now the great news also is you come out by the road which takes you to the inner circle, but just over the other side of that road is a cafe. Also, do keep your eyes out because there are some extremely tame squirrels around, and we've got a couple of them we found as we were walking through the flower beds here. And as you can see, this one just wanted to pose. Also, I think I must have been trained as a child, but I kept looking carefully to see if there were any signs saying keep off the grass, and there aren't, so you are allowed on the grass, even though I felt quite reticent to do so. There's lots of children's play areas here at Regents Park, so if you're bringing the whole family down, there's something for everyone. So in this video, we've been to St James's Park, Chelsea, St Paul's, Kensington Gardens, Greenwich, Fitzrovia, the Olympic Park, and finally we finished here at Regents Park. So which was your favourite place for spring in London? Be that the blossom or be that the beautiful flowers like you've got here at Regents Park? Let us know in the comments down below. It'd be really interesting to know. The only place that we covered this year and last year was St Paul's, and that's just iconic. So what I've done is I've put a link to a video up in the top right hand corner of our spring blossom video from 2021. So if you click on that, I'll see you in there.